They say all good things must come to an end, and the next series of Salvage Hunters, which we shot last year and airs in the autumn, is my last. So everyone, take care. Thank you so much.
Drew Pritchard, the charismatic face of Salvage Hunters, has become a household name for his uncanny ability to spot rare antiques, negotiate jaw-dropping deals, and unearth treasures that leave viewers stunned. But behind the camera, the story of Drew Pritchard is far more complicated and far more dramatic than fans realize. For years, audiences have watched him traverse dusty warehouses, abandoned estates, and ramshackle barns, transforming forgotten items into stunning pieces of history. The show highlights his charm, expertise, and adventurous spirit, but it only scratches the surface of the challenges Drew has faced, both personally and professionally. Recently, rumors have swirled about the pressures of life on the road, the toll of constant filming, and the business complexities that accompany running a thriving antiques empire. Drew isn't just a TV star. He's a businessman navigating a cutthroat industry where every negotiation counts, and every decision can make or break a deal. Behind the light-hearted banter and quick wit is a man juggling the weight of running his company, maintaining his reputation, and staying ahead in a world where antiques aren't just collectibles, they're investments, legacies, and sometimes legal liabilities. Then there's the personal side. Drew has faced moments of exhaustion, public scrutiny, and the challenge of balancing life away from the cameras. The man viewers see as adventurous and invincible has also confronted doubts, setbacks, and obstacles that rarely make it to the screen. His journey is not just about finding hidden treasures. It's about resilience, determination, and navigating the unexpected turns that come with living life in the spotlight. So, what really happened to Drew Pritchard? What struggles has he faced behind the iconic salvaging adventures? The story is far more human and far more compelling than anyone imagined. Before the cameras, crews, and the television fame, Drew Pritchard was just a boy growing up with an unusual fascination: objects. Not just toys or gadgets, but items with history, stories, and character. While other children collected baseball cards or action figures, Drew's curiosity leaned toward the forgotten, the discarded, and the undervalued. His childhood was filled with trips to flea markets, antique shops, and second-hand stores, each visit planting a seed that would eventually grow into a career that seemed as natural as it was extraordinary. Even at a young age, Drew displayed an instinct that would later define his professional life. He could spot the potential in things others overlooked: a rusty lamp, a cracked vase, a worn chair. Where most people saw junk, Drew saw history, craftsmanship, and opportunity. Friends and family began to notice that his interest went beyond a simple hobby. He had a rare eye for detail, a patience for research, and an understanding of value that was unusual even among seasoned collectors. After leaving school, Drew didn't take the conventional route into business or academia. Instead, he threw himself into the world he loved. Apprenticeships at antique shops, second-hand warehouses, and local markets became his training ground. These early experiences weren't glamorous. They were grueling, filled with long hours, labor-intensive work, and the constant challenge of persuading sellers to recognize his insight. But Drew thrived. Each negotiation, each restoration, and each discovery sharpened his skills, teaching him lessons that no textbook ever could. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Drew had established himself as a respected figure in the local antique community. He had earned a reputation as someone who could uncover hidden gems and revive items that others had written off as worthless. Collectors and dealers began to seek him out, trusting his judgment and valuing his expertise. But despite growing recognition, Drew's ambitions extended far beyond regional notoriety. He wanted to bring antiques and the stories behind them to a wider audience. It was during this period that the seeds for Salvage Hunters were planted. Television producers had noticed Drew's talent, charisma, and unique ability to connect with people not just as a buyer or seller, but as someone who could tell the story behind every item. What made him captivating wasn't just his skill in negotiation or his eye for value. It was his passion. Viewers could feel it, even through the lens of a camera. Every item Drew handled carried more than monetary worth, it carried history, mystery, and meaning. But before the fame arrived, Drew had to navigate the challenges of balancing a growing business with personal life. Antique dealing is unpredictable, competitive, and physically demanding. He traveled constantly, hauling heavy furniture, negotiating deals, and sometimes taking risks that could either yield incredible rewards or lead to devastating loss. His early years were defined by persistence, ingenuity, and the willingness to take chances others wouldn't dare. By the time television cameras rolled for the first season of Salvage Hunters, Drew Pritchard was already a veteran in his field. He brought decades of hands-on experience, a sharp eye for detail, and a deep respect for the stories embedded in every object he touched. The show was more than a job, it was a culmination of a lifetime of curiosity, hard work, and unwavering passion. It allowed audiences not only to witness his skill, but also to understand the value of patience, knowledge, and intuition. In a world that often overlooks the treasures hiding in plain sight, Drew's journey from a curious child in local markets to the star of an internationally acclaimed television series wasn't an overnight success story. It was a decades-long path marked by dedication, struggle, and an unrelenting love for the objects he collected. Each episode of Salvage Hunters may capture a dramatic find or an unexpected discovery, but behind every scene is the culmination of a life spent chasing history, understanding value, and revealing beauty where most see only the discarded dot. By the time Salvage Hunters first aired, Drew Pritchard was no longer just a skilled antiques dealer. He was on the verge of becoming a television star. The show's premise seemed simple. Follow Drew as he traveled across the UK, scouring barns, warehouses, and forgotten estates for valuable antiques. But behind the cameras, the reality was far more complex, demanding, and exhausting than most viewers could imagine. Television exposure brought unprecedented recognition. For the first time, Drew's name and face were known to audiences far beyond the antiques community. People stopped him in the street, approached him at markets, and flooded his social media with messages. The fame was thrilling, but it also came with intense pressure. Every purchase, every deal, and every negotiation was now under public scrutiny. Fans celebrated his successes, but critics dissected his choices, questioning whether he overpaid, missed hidden value, or exaggerated the drama for entertainment. Filming Salvage Hunters wasn't easy. Long days on the road, often in remote locations, tested both stamina and patience. Heavy lifting, complex negotiations, and unpredictable sellers created logistical and emotional challenges. Drew had to maintain his signature charisma on camera while ensuring that every deal aligned with his professional standards. Behind the scenes, there were moments of tension, arguments with production staff over edits, and the relentless pressure of keeping the show both entertaining and authentic. Yet, despite these pressures, Drew thrived. He had spent decades honing his eye for value, understanding market trends, and cultivating relationships with other dealers. Those skills became critical not just for making profitable deals, but for maintaining credibility with viewers. Every purchase, every inspection, and every restoration was meticulously considered. Fans saw a polished final product, but the process behind it was a careful balance of expertise, instinct, and negotiation. However, fame also brought personal challenges. Drew found that the spotlight intensified scrutiny of his private life. Rumors circulated about business decisions, personal relationships, and even his approach to restoration and pricing. Friends and colleagues sometimes worried about the impact of public opinion on his mental health. Unlike typical celebrities, Drew's expertise is measurable. Viewers can judge whether he got a good deal, but the constant commentary added another layer of stress. Additionally, running his business alongside filming was no small feat. Salvage Hunters couldn't replace the responsibilities of managing staff, inventory, and clients. Drew had to juggle multiple roles: television personality, entrepreneur, negotiator, and mentor to younger staff. Each role demanded focus, patience, and resilience, and the challenge of wearing so many hats could be overwhelming. Yet Drew consistently rose to the occasion, earning admiration not only for his expertise, but for his professionalism and integrity. The rise of Salvage Hunters also transformed Drew's perspective on the antiques world. He began to see how television could educate audiences about history, craftsmanship, and the value of preserving heritage. Items that might have been overlooked suddenly gained recognition, inspiring a new generation of collectors. Drew's role expanded from buyer to educator and influencer, making him a trusted authority in a highly competitive industry. Even as the show's popularity soared, Drew remained grounded. He continued to approach each deal with the same meticulous care that had defined his early career, refusing to compromise quality for sensationalism. While the cameras captured excitement and drama, behind every episode was a man dedicated to his craft, aware of his influence, and committed to doing justice to both history and his profession. By the end, on a personal level, Drew also faced the isolation that often comes with success. Life on the road meant long periods away from home, family, and friends. The constant travel and demanding schedule strained relationships, making the balance between personal life and career a delicate challenge. Drew has spoken in interviews about the mental fatigue that accompanies such a lifestyle, highlighting how even passion projects can become exhausting when the demands never let up. Moreover, the antiques industry itself is unpredictable. Not every find turns into profit, not every negotiation succeeds. He experienced failed purchases, misjudged restorations, and moments where what seemed like a treasure turned out to be worthless. These setbacks, while part of the job, carried weight financially, professionally, and emotionally. They were lessons in resilience, patience, and adaptability, teaching him to remain calm under pressure and trust his instincts. Despite these obstacles, Drew's love for antiques, history, and storytelling kept him motivated. He found inspiration in the joy of uncovering hidden gems, restoring them to their former glory, and sharing these discoveries with a captivated audience. His dedication never wavered, even when the physical, emotional, and social pressures mounted. The struggles became part of the story, the human side of a man viewers had only seen as confident, skilled, and charismatic. Ultimately, the challenges Drew faced off-camera shaped him into the person audiences admire today. They reveal a man who is not just a television personality, but a determined professional, a meticulous entrepreneur, and someone who embraces the complexity of his life with humility and courage. These unseen struggles underscore the reality that every treasure he uncovers on screen comes at a cost of effort, perseverance, and sacrifice. What really happened to Drew Pritchard is not simply the exciting finds on Salvage Hunters. It's the journey behind the scenes, the exhaustion, the pressure, the setbacks, and the resilience that turned him from a local antiques expert into a national star with an international reputation. For Drew Pritchard, Salvage Hunters is more than a television show. It is the culmination of a lifetime dedicated to understanding antiques, history, and human stories. But behind the adventure, the fame, and the on-screen excitement, there have been defining moments, turning points that shaped his career, his reputation, and the man audiences see today. One of the most significant turning points came with a series of high-profile finds that not only boosted his profile, but cemented his credibility as a top-tier antiques expert. From rare 19th-century furniture to collectible vintage items thought lost forever, Drew's discoveries captivated audiences and collectors alike. But these moments of triumph were never easy. Many of the locations he explored were treacherous, decaying buildings, hazardous barns, and remote estates presented physical dangers, alongside the challenge of assessing items under less than ideal conditions. Every find demanded expertise, patience, and a keen eye, skills Drew had honed over decades, often in near anonymity before the cameras ever rolled. Yet even as these discoveries brought acclaim, they also carried weight. Each high-stakes find came with financial risk and public expectation. A single misjudgment could result in significant loss or criticism. Drew learned quickly that fame in antiques isn't just about uncovering treasures. It's about making smart, ethical decisions under pressure, balancing passion with pragmatism. These lessons became part of his professional ethos, influencing every deal and every episode of Salvage Hunters. Beyond the material triumphs, Drew's greatest lessons came from the human side of antiques. Every item he salvages has a story, a piece of someone's history, a relic of lives once lived. Drew realized early on that respecting these stories is as important as negotiating the price. His approach blends expertise with empathy, showing viewers that antiques are not merely commodities, but vessels of memory, craftsmanship, and cultural heritage. This philosophy has become central to his work and is a major reason the show resonates with audiences worldwide. That the turning points in Drew's life are also deeply personal. Success brought attention, but it also revealed challenges he hadn't faced as a local dealer, balancing public visibility with private life, managing the pressures of an expanding business, and maintaining personal well-being amidst relentless travel and high expectations. These challenges taught him resilience, patience, and the importance of boundaries, lessons that shaped not just his work, but his life off camera. Interestingly, some of the most profound lessons came not from triumphs, but from mistakes, misjudged items, failed negotiations, or restoration projects that didn't go as planned became opportunities for growth. Drew's willingness to learn from these experiences, adapt strategies, and remain persistent distinguishes him from many in the antiques world. It's this combination of skill, humility, and dedication that has allowed him to sustain success for so many years. Today, Drew Pritchard's life and career exemplify the balance of adventure, expertise, and humanity. His story is not just about what he finds on the show, but about the challenges he overcomes, the lessons he learns, and the passion that drives him forward. Viewers see the excitement, the discoveries, and the drama, but behind it all lies decades of preparation, hard work, and unwavering dedication. The reality of Drew Pritchard's life goes far beyond what the camera captures. It's a life defined by curiosity, resilience, and the unrelenting pursuit of passion. Every antique he uncovers, every deal he negotiates, and every story he shares is a testament to the journey that brought him from local markets to international recognition. And in understanding what really happened behind the scenes, fans gain a deeper appreciation not just for salvage hunters, but for the man whose expertise, intuition, and heart make the show truly extraordinary. Today, Drew Pritchard is more than just the star of Salvage Hunters. He is a veteran of the antiques world, a mentor, a businessman, and a man who has learned to navigate fame, pressure, and the complexities of life with grace and resilience. At the height of his career, Drew's story is not only about what he uncovers, but also about how he has grown, adapted, and remained true to his passion over decades. In recent years, Drew has reflected openly on the lessons learned from his journey. He emphasizes patience, persistence, and the importance of knowing one's limits both in business and life. The antiques world can be unpredictable, markets shift, items lose or gain value, and opportunities are fleeting. Drew's philosophy is simple but profound. Success is as much about preparation and instinct as it is about luck. Every deal, every restoration, and every auction is a test of knowledge, judgment, and character. Beyond business, Drew's reflections reveal a deeply human side rarely seen on television. The life of a traveling antiques dealer is exciting, but isolating. Long stretches away from family, the constant scrutiny of fans and media, and the physical toll of the work have shaped him in ways the audience never fully sees. Drew has learned to value balance, prioritizing relationships, health, and personal fulfillment alongside career achievements. These insights inform not just how he works, but who he is, a reminder that even in a glamorous profession, the human element remains paramount. Mentorship has also become central to Drew's current life. He actively supports younger dealers, sharing knowledge about spotting quality items, negotiating deals, and navigating the industry. His influence goes beyond television. It is felt in the next generation of antiques experts who look to him as a model of professionalism, integrity, and passion. For Drew, the most rewarding moments are not just the finds themselves, but the ability to inspire others to see value where others see only junk. Despite decades in the public eye, Drew remains remarkably grounded. Friends and colleagues describe him as approachable, humble, and endlessly curious. Fame has not changed his fundamental nature. He is still the boy fascinated by the stories objects can tell, still excited by the thrill of discovery, and still committed to the idea that history and craftsmanship deserve respect. The cameras capture moments of triumph, But behind every scene is a man fully invested in every detail of his craft. Drew's current life also highlights adaptability. While Salvage Hunters brought him international recognition, he continues to evolve, exploring new opportunities in business, media, and antiques. Whether collaborating on restoration projects, hosting special exhibitions, or consulting with collectors, Drew remains engaged, curious, and energetic, qualities that have kept his career relevant long after most would have slowed down. Ultimately, what really happened to Drew Pritchard is a story of perseverance, passion, and resilience. Fame and television captured only part of his journey. The full story encompasses years of hard work, risk-taking, late nights, and countless lessons learned along the way. It is a life defined by curiosity, determination, and the unwavering belief that value, both monetary and emotional, can be found in the most unexpected places. Today, Drew Pritchard stands as a testament to what dedication, skill, and authenticity can achieve. His life reminds us that success is never accidental. It is earned, nurtured, and sustained by effort, intelligence, and heart. For fans of Salvage Hunters and newcomers alike, understanding the man behind the camera deepens the appreciation of every discovery, every restored item, and every story shared on